Alright, continuing Title 58, Pennsylvania's Codes and Statutes, Oil and Gas Lease Fund, Chapter 25, 2501 Definitions, 2502 Reserve, 2503 Reserve, 2504 Appropriation of Money repealed, 2505 repealed, and 2501 Definition. Following word phrases when used in this chapter shall have the meaning as given to them in the section unless the context clearly indicates otherwise. The Department stands for the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources of the Commonwealth. 2502 Reserve, 2503 Reserve, 2504 Appropriation of Money repealed, and then it shows 2017 repeals. Chapter 27, the Natural Gas Energy Development Program expired 2016. Part 3, Utilization and Enactment. Part 3 was added in February 14, 2012, Public Law 87, number 813, effective within 60 days. Chapter 31 is Reserve. Chapter 32 is Development. Chapter 33 is Local Ordinance relating to oil and gas operation. Chapter 35, Responsible for Fees. Chapter 31, Reserved. Chapter 32, Development. Subchapter A, Preliminary Provisions. Subchapter B, General Requirements. Subchapter C, Underground Gas Stores. Chapter D, Eminent Domain. Chapter E, Enforcement and Remedies. Subchapter F, Miscellaneous Provisions. And then Subchapter A, Preliminary Provisions. 3201, Scope of the Chapter. 3202, Declaration and Purpose of Chapter. 3203, Definitions. 3201, Scope of the Chapter. The chapter relates to oil and gas. 3202, Declaration and Purpose of Chapter. Purpose of this chapter are to permit or operation optimal development of oil and gas resources for the Commonwealth, consistent with the protection of the health and safety, environment, and property of the Pennsylvania citizens. To protect the safety of personnel, facilities employed with the coal mining, exploration, development, storage, and production of natural gas and oil. 3. Protect the safety and property rights of the person residing in the areas where mining, exploration, development, and storage or production occur. 4. Protect the natural resource of environmental rights values secured by the Constitution of Pennsylvania. 3203, definition. Following words and phrases used in this chapter have the meaning given to them in this section, unless context clearly indicates otherwise. An abandoned well, any of the following: a well that has not been used to produce, extract, inject any gas, petroleum, other liquid within the proceedings of 12 months for which the 2 for which the equipment necessary for the production and extraction of the injection has been removed, or 3 considered dry or not equipped for production within 60 days after drilling, re-drilling, deepening. 2 where the term does not include wells granted inactive status. Additive is a hydraulic fracturing, chemical alteration, operation change of the physical character of the well bore, including stimulation or removing, repairing, change of the casing for the purpose of the chapter only, but the term does not include 1. Repairing and replacing the casing of the activity does not affect the depth of the diameter of the well bore for the use of the purpose of the well, does not change the activity, comply with the regulation promulgated under this chapter, except for the conclusion does not apply. 2. Production. 2. Production casing in coal areas when the production casings are also coal protection casings. 4. 2. When the method of repairing or replacing casing would affect the coal protection casing. 2. Stimulation of the well board, the Oil Gas Technical Advisory Board, bridge and obstruction placed in well at any depth. Building and occupied structures with walls, roofing within which a person live or customarily work. Casing of string or strings of pipe commonly placed in wells drilled in natural gas or petroleum, cement or cement grout. Any of the following: hydraulic cement properly mixed with water only. 2. A mixture of materials adequate for bonding and sealing of the well bores approved with the regulation promulgated in this chapter. Chemical. Any element, chemical compound with a mixture of elements of the compound has its own specific name identified with such chemical abstract number. Chemical Disclosure Registry with the Chemical Registry Internet website developed with the Groundwater Protection Council with the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission or their successors organization. Chemical family group of chemicals to share with the familiar with the chemical properties they have with a common general term name. Coal mining. Any of the following operations of coal seam, including excavated portions, abandoned portions, and places actually being worked. 2. The underground working shaft, lopes, and tunnel with the otherwise ways opening include those that are in the course of the being sunk or driven along with all the roads, facilities connected within them with the time below the surface. Coal operator, person operates for the purpose of the operated coal mine as an owner or leaser. Completion of well, date after treatment, if any of the well is properly equipped with the production of oil and or gas. If any well is dry, the date that the well is abandoned. The Department of Environmental Protection of the Commonwealth. Drilling. The drilling is re-drilling of the well or the deepening of the existing well. Fresh ground water. Water in portions generally recognized with a hydrological cycle with the occupied with the pore space of the fracture with the saturated subsurface materials. Gas. Any of the following of flammable, combustible, and non-combustible, which is produced in the natural state from the earth and maintains a gaseous, rarefied state at standard temperature of 60 degrees Fahrenheit and pressure of 14.7 psi. Any manufactured gas made byproduct gas, a mixture of gas and natural gas liquids. Health professional, physician or physician assistant, natural nurse practitioner, registered nurse, or emergency medical technician licensed by the Commonwealth. Hydraulic fracturing, chemical substance combination substance, including any of the chemical of the proponents that's initially added to the base fluid for the purpose of the preparing and stimulation fluid for the, use in hydraulic fracturing inactivity. To shut off the vertical movement of the gas in a gas storage well by means of a temporary plug or other suitable device by injecting benetonical mud or other equally non-porous material into the well. Linear foot, unit of measurement with a straight line of the horizontal plane. Natural gas, hydrocarbons, natural gas, which are separated from the gas liquid through the process of absorption, condensation, and absorption of the other methods in the gas processing cycling plants. Oil, hydrocarbons, and liquid form a standard temperature with 60 degrees Fahrenheit, pressure of 14.7 psi, also referred to as petroleum. Operating coal mine. Any of the following: an underground coal mine, which is producing coal, has been production of the coal at the time during the 12 months immediately preceding the date when the status and put them in the question, including the continuous worked out and abandoned coal mines to which is connected underground coal mine established or re-established under paragraph 1. Operating well that is not plugged and abandoned. Operator, well operator. Orphan well abandoned prior to April 18, 1985, that has been effective with the operative of the presser and owner of the operator from which the present owner and operator leaser have received no economic benefit other than as the landowner or recipient of a royal interest from the well. Outside coal boundaries, when used in conjunction with the term of the operating coal mine, the boundaries of the coal acreage assigned with the coal mine underground mine permits issued the Department of Environmental Protection. Owner, any person who owns, manages, leases, controls, possesses a well or coal property. The term does not apply to the Orphan Wells except with the Department of Environmental Protection. Department determines the primary owner of the operator benefited from the well as provided in Section 382(20)(a) relating to the plugging requirements. Person, individual, association, partnership, corporation, public subdivision, or agency of the federal government, state of the government, and other legal entity. Petroleum, hydrocarbon, liquid, and standard with a temperature of 60 degrees Fahrenheit, pressure of 14.7 psi, also referred to as oil, piler, or solid block of the coal surrounded by either active mine workings or mined out area. Plat, a map, drawing, or print actually drawn to the scale showing the proposed existing location of the well or wells. Reservoir protective area, the area surrounding the storage reservoir boundary within 2,000 linear feet of the storage reservoir boundary. This alternate area has been designated by the Department of Environmental Protection, which is deemed reasonable and necessary to afford protection to the reservoir under conference held in accordance with Section 3251 relating to conference. Retreating, mining, removal of coal pilers, ribs, and stubs remaining after developing mining has been completed in that section of the coal mine. Secretary Environmental Protection of the Commonwealth. Storage operator, person who operates and purposes to operate with the storage reservoir as owner or leaser. Storage reservoir, this portion subsurface the geological stratum in which the gas is or may be injected for storage purpose of the test suitability for stratum for the storage. Unconventional formation, geological shale formation existing below the base of the elk sandstone or is in geological equivalent stratigraphic interval share with natural gas generally cannot be produced with economic flow rates for the economic volumes except for the vertical horizontal well roll bores and stimulated by hydrological feature treatments by using multilateral well bores, other techniques to be exposed more formation of the well bore. Unconventional well with a borehole drill with being the drill for the purpose of the or two to be used for the production of the natural gas with the unconventional formation water management plan. A plan associated with the drilling completing with the unconventional formation for the demonstrate for the withdrawal of the use of the water source for the protect for the shore for the required by law with the protect for the public health and safety of the welfare. Water purveyor, any of the following with the owner and operator of the public water system as defined in Section 3 of the Act of May 1st, 1984, Public Law 206, Number 43, known as Pennsylvania Safe Drinking Water Act. Any person stripped with the Act of June 24th, 1939, as referred to as the Water Rights Law. Water source, any of the following waters of this Commonwealth of the shore of the water supply used by water purveyor. 3. Mine, pools, and discharge. 4. Any other waters that are used for the drilling or completing a well with the unconventional formation. 2. The term does not include the flow back of the production water with the other fluids. 1. Which are used for the drilling and completing with a well with an unconventional formation. 2. But it does not discharge into waters of this Commonwealth. A well, a borehole drilled by being drilled for the purpose of the or to be used for the production, extracting, injection, gas and petroleum, any other liquid related to oil and gas production, storage, including brine disposal, excluding the borehole drilled to produce potable water, but the term does not include with the borehole drilled and being drilled for the purpose of the or to be used for 1. System monitoring, producing, and extracting gas from the solid waste disposal facilities into the borehole is and well subject to the Act of July 7, 1980, Public Law 380, numbers 97, known as the Solid Waste Management Act, which does not penetrate a workable coal seam. Degasifying coal seams if the bore is used to vent methane to the outside atmosphere from the operating coal mine, regulated as part of the mining permit under the Act of June 22nd, 1937, the Public Law 1987, number 394, known as the Clean Stream Law, and the Act of May 31st, 1945, Public Law 1198, number 418, known as the Surface Mining Conservation Reclamation Act, drilled by the operator with the operating coal mine for the purpose of increased safety. Alright, 2. Using venting methane to the outside atmosphere under the federally funded with the state-funded abandoned mine reclamation emergency well control emergency incident with the drilling operation work over completion determined by the Department of Environmental Protection posed with the threat of the public and health and welfare safety include loss of circulation, fluids, kicking, casing failure, blowout, and fire explosion. Well control specialist, any person trained to respond with the well with the control emergency with the current service certification from as well control course accredited with the International Association of Drilling Contractors or the organization approved by the Department of Environmental Protection. Your well operator, any of the following with that person designated as an operator or well operator, the permit application of the well registration. 2. For the permit of the well registration is not issued for the person located with the drills to operate for the alters and plugs the well with the reconditions as well with the purpose of the production from the well. 3. If the well is used with the connection with the underground storage of the gas as storage operator. Wetland areas include areas undated, saturated by surface water, groundwater, frequency, duration sufficient in this report with normal support, prevalence of vegetation, typically adaptive to the life of the saturated soil conditions, including swamps, marshes, bogs, and similar areas. Where coal seams, a coal seam which is actually being mined with the area question on the chapter underground methods. 2. The judgment of the Department of Environmental Protection can reasonably expected to be mined underground methods, special provisions. And this appendix C, section 431 of the Act of 2012, the appendix of the title with the special provisions relating to continuation of prior law. Subpart B, general requirements. Alright, subchapter B, general requirement, 3211, well permits, 3212, permit objections, 3212.1, comments of municipality storage operators, 3213, well registration navigation, 3214, inactive status, 3215, well location restriction, 3216, well site restoration, 3217, protection of fresh groundwater casing requirement, 3218, protection of water supply, 3218.1, notification of public drinking water system, 3218.2, containment of the unconventional wells, 3218.3, transportation records regarding wastewater fluids, 3218.4, corrosion control requirement, 3218.5, gathering line, 3219, use of safety devices, 3219.1, well control emergency response, 3220, plugging requirement, 3221, alternative methods, 3222, well reporting requirement, 3221, 3222.1 Hydraulic fracturing chemical disclosure requirement. 3223 Notification effect for the well transfer. 3224 Coal operator responsibility. 3225 Bonding. 3226 Oil Gas Technical Advisor Bio Board. 3227 Air contaminant emissions. Alright, 3211 in well permits. Permit operated. No person shall drill or alter a well except for the alteration satisfied with the requirements of subsection J without having the first obtained with a well permit under subsection B, C, D, and E, or operated abandoned of the orphan unless the well with the compliance of subsection 1. The copy of the permit shall be kept at the well site during the preparation of the construction of the well site with the access of the road during the drilling or alteration of the well. No person shall be required to obtain with the permit of the re-drill of the non-producing well with the re-drilling has been evaluated and approved with the prior of the order of the department that authorized cleaning out of the plugging of the replugging of the non-producing well under section 13C of the Act of December 18, 1984, Public Law 1069, number 214, known as the Coal Gas Resource Coordination Act, and 2, as incident with the plugging and replugging operation, the well is plugged within 15 days of the re-drilling plat. The permit application shall be accompanied with the plat prepared with the competent engineer, competent surveyor, the form of the furnished for the department showing that the political subdivision and the county in which the tract of the land with upon which the well of the derivative operated and altered with the located list of the municipalities adjacent with the well site, name and serve of the landowner, the recorder, leaser, with the name of the server, landowners, water purveyors whose water supplies are within 1,000 feet of the proposed well, the location of the cave of the unconventional well within 3,000 feet of the vertical well bore, name of the owner of the recorder, the operator, all well underlying workable coal seams, the acreage in the tract to be filled with the proposed location of the well determination survey course with the distance of the location of the 2 or more permanent identifiable points or landmarks, track boundary, corners, the purpose of angle of the direction of the well with deviated substantially from the vertical course, number of the other identification to be given to the well with the workable coal seam underlying with the track land upon which the well is drilled and altered with which shall have deceased off under 3217 relating to the protection of the fresh groundwater casing requirements. Any other information needed with the department is administered of this chapter to the application shall be forwarded and certified mail with a copy of the plat certificate of the land owner municipality in which the tract land upon which the well is to be drilled is located. Each municipality within 3,000 feet of the proposed unconventional vertical well bore, the municipality adjacent to the well with all surface landowners, water purveyors who water supply within 1,000 feet of the proposed well, the location in case of any of the unconventional well within 3,000 feet of the proposed unconventional vertical well bore with the storage operators within 3,000 feet of the proposed unconventional vertical well bore with the owner of the leaser with any of the coal seams, each of the coal of the operator required with identified with the well permit application. B1 notification application shall be submitted with the proof of the notification. Well permit application notification surface the owner shall be performed by sending a notice to the person who the tax notice of the surface property of the and indicated with the assessment books in the county in which the property is located. Notification of the surface landowner water purveyor shall be on the forms and in a manner with the prescribed with the department is sufficient to identify with the rights afforded those persons under section 3218 relating to the protection of water supply to advise them over the advantages and take their own pre-drilling and pre-alteration survey. B2 approval of the application submitted to the department of the written approval of the proposed location with the strip of the land over the coal operator lease of the owner of any of the coal underlying the proposed well location. No objections raised to the department within 15 days of the filing, or if no approval that has been submitted, no objections are made to the proposed well location within 15 days of the receipt of the notice of the department of the strip of the land over any of the coal operator leaser or owner. The written approval shall be filled with the become of the permanent record of the well location subject to the inspection any time of the interested person. Application form to operate or abandon an orphan well shall be provided with a notification to applicant with the responsibility of the plug of the well when open and when upon abandonment. See application. If the application for a well permit is to the corporation partnership of the person with not resident with the commonwealth, the application shall be designated with the name of the address of the agent with the owner of the agent of the operator who shall be the attorney of the in fact or the operator shall be the resident of the commonwealth of whom the notices or is another whom practically may be served. Each well operator required to designate an agent under this section shall have within 5 days of the after termination designation notify the department over the termination designate a new agent. D. Permit fee. Each application shall have, for a well permit shall be accompanied with a permit fee established from the Environmental Quality Board, which bears reasonable relationship to the cost of the administration of the chapter. E. Issue of the permit. Department shall issue a permit within 45 days of submission of the permit application. 11. The department to deny the permit application for one or more reasons for the set forth subsection E1, except for that the department shall have the right to extend the period of 15 days for the cause as shown. Upon notification of the applicant of the reason for the extension, the department may impose the permit terms, conditions necessary to assure the compliance with the chapter, other laws administrative, and the department. Denial of the permit, the department may deny a permit for any of the following reasons: 1, the well site with which the permit is required for the violation, any of the chapter, issuing with the permit that would result in the violation of the chapter, other of applicable law. 2, the permit application is incomplete. 3, the unresolved the objection of the well location, coal miner owner or operator remain. 4, the requirement section 3225 relating to bonding that has not been met. 5, the department finds the applicant or any of the parent subsidiary corporation applications in continuing violation of the chapter, any of the statute administered by the department, any regulation promulgated under the chapter statute administered by the department, or any plan approval of the permit or order of the department, unless the violation is being corrected with the satisfaction of the department of the right of the department of any of the permit under the paragraph and shall not take effect until the department have in final action for the violations. And 1, the application is not appealed with the final action in accordance with the Act of July 13th, 1988, Public Law 530, number 4094, known as the Environmental Hearing Board Act. 2 is if the appeal has been filed with the notice supersedes has been issued. 6, the applicant failed to pay the fee of the file of the report under Section 2303C with relating to the administration or left the appeal with the pending of the commission shall notify that the department of the applicant has failed to pay the fee of the file of the report which does not have them appealing pending. After the drilling, upon issuance of the permit, the well operator may drill, operate, or alter the exact location shown on the plat of the provided with the department of the surface land over local political subdivision, which the well is and will be located 24 hours notice of the day of the well drill will commence. Notification from the department must be provided electronically if there is a break in the drilling of 30 days or more. The well operator shall notify the department at least 24 hours prior to the resumption of the drilling. The unconventional well operator shall be provided with the department 24-hour notice prior to the cementing all casing stringings to the conducting pressure test of the production casing, stimulation and banding of the plugging unconventional well. In no coal areas where more than one well is to be drilled as part of the same development project only. First well of the project need to be located by a survey. Remain wells of the project shall be shown with the plat in the manner prescribed by regulation. 4, prior to the drilling, each additional project welling with the well operator shall notify the department and provide reasonable notice for the date of the date of which the drill welling commenced. 5, whenever before during drilling welling not over the boundaries of the operating coal mine with the well operator encounter with the condition of the nature which renders drilling of the borehole with the portion thereof impossible with no more for more hazard than usual. The well operator, upon verbal notice of the department, may immediately plug all or part of the borehole where the drilling has occurred and commence a new borehole not more than 50 feet off the old borehole. With the location of the new borehole does not violate the Section 3215 relating to well location restrictions, and in the case of the Well Subject Act of July 25th, 1961, Public Law 825, number 359, known as the Oil Gas Conservation Law, if the new law complied with existing law, regulations, and special orders of the new borehole is at least 330 feet from the nearest lease boundary. Within 10 days of the commencement of the new borehole, the well operator shall file with the department of the written over the intention for the plug of the well, record of the completion report of the plugging certificate for the original borehole, an amendment plat for the new borehole with the 7th well. The well operator shall forward a copy of the amended plat to serve the landowner identified on the well permit application within 10 days of the commencement of the new well bore. Posting. The well permit number, the operator, the name and address and telephone number shall be conspicuously posted with the drilling site during the site of the preparation, including the construction on of access road, construction well site, and during drilling and the operation alteration of the well. H. Labeling. Well operator with the shall install with a permanent number to issue with the department of legible, visible with a permanent man with the well upon completion. Expiration. Well permits issued for the drilling well under the chapter shall expire of 1 year for the issuance unless the operation of the drill well will commence within the period of the impers to due with the diligence unless the permit is renewed in accordance with the regulation of the department. If the drilling is commenced during 1 year period with the well permit shall remain in force until the well is plugged in accordance with the Section 3220 with the relating to the plugging requirements for the permit of the revoked with the drilling permit issued prior to the April 18th, 1985 of the well was which for the operating well for the April 18th, 1985 shall remain in force and as a well permit until the well is plugged in the accordance with the Section 3220. Exemptions. Environmental Quality Board may establish the regulations certain categories for the alteration permit of the registered well with which permitting requirements of the section shall not apply. Well operator and owner who proposes to conduct alteration activity shall first obtain the permit registration modification from the Department of the Environmental Quality Board shall promulgate regulations as to requirements for modification. K. No transfer permitted. No permit issued within this section. Registration issued under Section 3213 relating to well registration and identification may be transferred without prior approval of the Department. The request for the approval of the transfer shall be informed of the manner of the prescribed by the Department. The Department shall approve or deny transfer of the request for 45 days of the receipt with a complete, accurate application of the Department may depend the request for a reason set forth in subsection E1, 4, and 5 of the approval of the transfer request of the permanently transfer responsibility to plug the well under Section 3220 of the recipient of the transfer permit registration. Regulation. Environmental Quality Board may establish the regulation requirement of the permitting operating abandoned orphan well for the person who proposed the conducted abandoned orphan well operation shall first obtain the permit to operate abandoned or orphan well. M. Water management. The following shall apply with the water management. No person will withdraw the use of the well with the short of this Commonwealth for the drilling with a hydrofracture stipulation of the natural gas well with complete with the unconventional gas formation whether on or off the land with the gas well is located except in accordance with the water management plan approved with the Department. Department 2. The Department shall review the approved and water with the management plan based on the determination of the proposed withdrawal with the operating in accordance with the proposed withdrawal operating conditions set forth in this plan, including conditions relating with the quantity of withdrawal rate with the time and the pass-by flow conditions will 1. Not adversely affect the quantity of the quality of the water available to other use within the same water source. 2. Protect for the maintaining of the designated existing use of the water source. 3. Not cause adverse impact the water quality watershed considered as a whole. 4. Include a reuse plan with the fluids that will be used with hydraulic fracture wells. And 3. The criteria under paragraph 2 shall be presumed to achieve the proposed water withdrawal has been approved with the operative in accordance with the conditions established in the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, Delaware River Basin Commission, or the Great Lakes Commission as applicable. 2. Notwithstanding paragraph 1 of the Department of the may establish additional requirements if necessary to comply with the laws of the Commonwealth. 4. In addition to the requirements on paragraph 1, 2, and 3, complying with the Department approved the water management shall be conditioned and permanent issue for the amended chapter of the drilling hydraulic fracture stipulation and natural gas shall be completed. Any unconventional formation shall be deemed to satisfy the laws of the Commonwealth. Or special provisions of in this appendix section 432 of the Act of the 2012 of the appendix of the title of the special provisions relating with the continuation of prior law, and then the cross-reference 3212 permit objections. General rule: the well referred in section 3211B with the relating to well permits will be located in a tract whose surface is owned by a person other than the well operative with the surface of the landowner effective with the shall be notified with the intent of the drill with the main file of the objection in accordance with section 3251 relating to the conference. Based on the assertions of the well, the location violates section 3215 relating to well location, the restriction of the information from the application is untrue with any of the material respect within 15 days of the receipt. Surface of the owner of the plat under section 3211B with the receipt with the notice for the surface of the landowner shall be presumed to have occurred 15 days from the day of the certified mailing when the well operator submitted the copy of certified mail receipt sent to the surface of the owner of the affidavit certifying the address of the surface of the owner with the notice was sent in the same address listed in the address book of the county where the property is located. Or if no objection is filed with the name of the rate of the department within 15 days after the receipt of the plat with the strip of the landowner with the written approval of the landowner is filled with the department, then no objection with the rate of the department within 15 days of the filing of the department shall pursue with the issue of the denial of the permit. Special circumstance of the well referred to in the section 3211B with the below penetrate with the outside of the coal boundary for the operating of the coal mine with the coal mine already projected and platted but not yet being operated within 1,000 linear feet with the beyond with the boundary for the opinion of the new coal owner and operator. The well or piler of the coal with the well will unduly interfere with the endangering of the mine with the coal owner with the operator affected may file objections under Section 3251 to the proposed location within 15 days of the receipt of the coal operated with the plat under Section 3211B. If possible, an alternative location which the proposed well could be drilled to overcome the objections shall be indicated. If no objection to the proposed location is filed, if none of the raised by the department within 15 days after the receipt of the plat by the coal owner of the operative, written approval of the coal operative of the owner location is filed with the department. No objection is raised by the department within 15 days of the filing. The department shall proceed with the issue of the denial of the permit procedure upon objection. If the objection is filed with the coal operative owner of the made with the department shall fix the time of the play for the conference under the Section 3251, no more than 10 days over the day of service of the objection, to allow for the parties to consider the objection at any time to agree with the location. If they fail to agree with the department, then appropriate to order for the shall determine the location of the tract of the land as near the original location as possible, where, in the judgment of the department, as well can be safely drilled without unduly interfering with the endangering and of the mind defined in subsection B, with the new location agreed with upon with the party of the determinant of the department shall be indicated with the plat on the file with the department to become permanent record upon which the department shall proceed to issue the denial of the permit. Or D, survey within 120 days after the commencement of the drilling operation of the coal operator accurately locate with the well will be closed survey with the same datum with the mine workings or coal boundaries or map file with the result of the survey within the department and forward a copy of the certified mail to the operator. 32.12.1 Comments of the municipality storage operating of the municipality. The municipality with the tract of the land and the pound with the conventional well to be drilled with located with the baby with the minimum comments of the department describing the local conditions and circumstances with the municipality have determined shall be considered with the department of the rendering of the determination on conventional well permit with the comment of the end of the subsection must be submitted to the department within 15 days of the receipt of the plat under Section 3211B with relating to the well permit with the municipality shall be simultaneously forward with a copy of the comments for the permit application all of the parties of the inland title to the copy of the plat under Section 3211B. We submitted the written response, but the written response must be submitted to the department within 10 days of the receipt of the comments of the municipality. A1. Storage operators. Storage operator located within 3,000 feet with a proposed unconventional vertical well bore with the more submit written comments to the department describing the circumstance of the storage operator determined should be considered with the department in rendering with the determination for the unconventional well permit with the comment of the end of the subsection must be submitted to the department within 15 days of the receipt of the platform under Section 3211B. The storage of the operator simultaneously forward with a copy of the comments for the permit application. All of the parties entitled to the copy of the plat under Section 3211B, who submit a written the response of the written response may be submitted with the department within 10 days of the receipt of the comments of the storage operator. B. The consideration of the department the comment of the response under subsection A and A1 may be considered with the department in accordance with the subsection 3215D relating to the well location restriction. See, no extension for the time period of the process outlined in the section shall not extend for the time period of the issue with the denial of the permit to be in with the time period with the set forth within this chapter. Special provisions and appendixes 3213 well registration and application general rule on and before July 15, 1996 for each of the person owned with the operated well existing prior to the April 18, 1985 has been registered with the department for with no drilling permit has been issued by the department and shall register the well with the department well owner and the operator who registered for the owner of the subsection well owner with the operator previously registered for the well under the chapter of the honor before July 5, 1996 identifies any of the abandoned well of the property which for the well owner of the operator owns the lease for the request for the approval of the department of classification of the well as an orphan and information regarding wells to be registered and identified shall be provided with an form in a manner prescribed by the department and shall include the name of the address for the well operator if the well operator of the corporation partnership for the person for the non-resident of the Commonwealth the name of the address for the agent of the operator upon with this name with notice of the order of process for the other communication issued under the chapter may be served to well name and the location well identification point with a 7.5 minute with the United States Geological Survey, the topographical map. Any of the location description service sufficient is enabled the department to locate the well with the ground, the approximate date of the drilling, the completing of the well, approximate depth of the producing the horizons and wells of the construction information available to drill logs. 4. Indemnity bond with the alternative fee with the lieu of the bonding with the other evidence financial security submitted with the well operator deemed appropriate by this department. Certifying no requirements of Section 3212 and 3225 relating to the bonding, no bonding alternative the fee of the evidence of financial security shall be required with the identification of the Orphan Well for wells drilled prior to January 30th, 1956, which have not been bonded with the well operator shall have the 5 years to comply with the provision of this paragraph. 5. Registration fee of $15 per well, blanket registration fee of $250 for the multi-well registration application submitted with the simultaneously the register fee should be waived until July 5th, 1996 with the new fee shall be pertaining with the identification of the orphan well. A1. Orphan Wells. After July 5th, 1996, the well owner, well operator, or the other person discovering the abandoned well on the property purchased for the lease of the well owner, the well operator, or any other person shall identify with the department within 60 days of the discovery divide with the department that the seeking classification of the well is orphan well. No fee shall be required for the identification. Or extension, the department may extend with a 1-year time period under the subsection A with a good charge shown with the extension may not exceed with the period ending with the 2 years after the April 8, 1985. The department may adopt the promulgated with the guidelines designed to ensure fair implementation of this section, recognizing with the practical difficulty of locating unpermitted well, complying with the reporting requirements of the chapter, installation of the registration number of the well operator for the install of the registration number to issue for the department with an legible constitution for the permanent manner of the well within 60 days of the issuing of the definition for the purpose of section 8, 4, and 5 of the term of the owner does not include the owner and possessor of the strip of real property or which abandoned well is located with who do not participate and incur costs and have no rights of control over the drilling and extraction operation of the abandoned well. 3214 inactive staff general rule. Upon application, the department shall have the inactive staff period of 5 years for the permit of the registered well following when the requirements are met with the condition of the well sufficient to prevent the damage of producing zone, the contamination of fresh water, and any other natural resource with the leakage, any of the substance. 2, the condition of the well is sufficient to stop the vertical flow of the fluids and gases within the well bore within an adequate partake of the fresh water aquifers unless the department determines the well pose with a threat to the health, the safety of the person and the property of the environment. 3, the owner now anticipates construction of the pipeline with the future use of the well from primary to enhancement, recovery of the gas storage, approve the disposal of the other appropriate unless use of the well related to oil and gas well production. The applicant satisfied with the binding requirements of section 3213 relating to well registration and application 3225 relating to bonding, except for the department may require additional financial security for the well for the alternative fees being paid in lieu of bonding under section 3225D. Monitoring. The owner operator of the well with granted with an inactive status shall be responsible for the monitoring with the mechanical integrity of the well with the ensure the requirements of subsection A and 1 and 2 are met and shall report the same on an annual basis for the department in the manner form of the prescribed department regulation. C is reserved. D, the return to active status of the well granted to inactive status under subsection A shall be plugged in accordance with section 3220 relating to plugging requirements of the return to the active status of the 5 years date of an active status of the granted, unless the owner of the operator apply with extension or of the inactive status, which may be granted with a 1 year on a year-to-year basis. The department is determined by the owner and operator have the demonstrated ability to continue meeting the requirements of this section with the owner and operator certify that the well will be used for future using a reasonable period of time. An owner and operator who has been granted inactive status for a well which has returned to active status prior to the expiration of a 5-year period set forth in subsection A shall notify the department that the well has been returned to active status and shall not be permitted to apply with another automatic 5-year period of inactive status for the well. The owner and operator may make application for the return of the well with the inactive status. The application may be approved with a year-to-year with the base of the department to determine the owner and operator, but it has determined ability to continue meeting the requirements of the section. Owner and operator with the certified that the will be the future within the reasonable period of time the department shall approve and deny the application for the extent of the period of inactive status. Return to a well in inactive status within 60 days of the receipt application, but the application shall not reasonably denied, and the department that has not completed the review application within 60 days of activated inactive status shall continue with the department to have made the determination of the request. If the department is denied the application and extended the period with an inactive status through the return of the well to inactive status, the well owner and operator agrees to the denial shall have the right to appeal the denial of the Environmental Hearing Board within 30 days of the receipt of the denial. Upon cause shall the well owner operator of the board grants supersedes under section 4 of the Act of July 13th, 1988, Public Law 530, number 494, known as the Environmental Hearing Board Act, so the well is in question may retain an active status during the period of the appeal. R.E. Revocation and inactive status. The department may revoke inactive status. The order immediate plugging as well with the violation chapter rules of the regulation promulgated with the chapter of the owner and operator demonstrate the inability to perform obligation of the chapter to become the financial insolvent or upon request of the department to notice the bankruptcy proceed within its permanent 3215 well location restriction. Generally, wells not drilled within 200 feet of water than Cape of the unconventional gas well 500 feet with a measured horizontal and vertical well bore with a building or water well existing of the copy of the plat mailed as required within section 3211B with relating to the well permits without written consent with the owner of the building and the water well Unconventional gas wells may be drilled within 1,000 feet of the measured horizontally from the vertical well bore to any of the existing water well, so for the water intake of the reservoir of the water supply with the extraction point with the use of the water purifier without written consent with the water purifier with the consent of it is to not be attained with the district with the distance restriction which is deprived of the owner of the oil gas for the right to produce and share oil and gas underlying surface of the track with the well operated with the tribute grant with the variance of the distance, the restriction upon the submission of the plan, identifying an additional measure for the facility with projections for the prescribed in the department to be employed with during the well and site construction deriving the drilling orients. Operation of the variance shall include additional terms of the condition required by the department to secure safety protection of affected persons and property, including insurance and bonding of identification of technical requirements notwithstanding this section 3211E with the variance request that has been submitted by the department may extend with the permit review period up to 15 days upon the notification of the applicant of the region for the extension limitation. No well in the site may be prepared well drilled within 100 feet in the case of the unconventional well, 300 feet with a vertical well bore with or 100 feet with the edge of the well site with whichever the grade of the measured horizontally from any solid blue line stream with the springing of the body of the water as identified the most current site within a half-minute topographical quadrille angle map of the United States Geological Survey. To the edge of the distributed and associated with the unconventional well site with it maintained with a 100 feet setback edge of the solid blue line stream, springing of the body of the water with its identified most current 7.5-inch topographical quadrille map of the United States Geological Survey. 3. No unconventional well may be drilled within 300 feet of the wetlands greater than 1 acre inside of the edge of the distributed area of any well site which maintains a 100-foot setback of the boundary of the wetland. 4. The department shall waive the distance restriction in the submission of the plan with identified with additional measurement of the facility practice with employed with during the well site with the construction drilling operation necessary to protect the waters of the Commonwealth of the waivers granted and shall include additional terms of the conditions required by the department necessary to protect the waters of the Commonwealth notwithstanding section 3211A. If the waiver required to be submitted, the department may extend with a permanent review of the period up to 15 days upon notification to the applicant of the region with extension. See impact on the making of the determination of the well permit. The department shall consider the impact of the proposed well with the public resource, including but not limited to public-owned park with the forest, game land, with the wildlife area of the national, state, scenic rivers, national natural landmarks, habitat of rare endangered flora and fauna, other critical communities, historic agricultural sites listed on the federal and state list of historical places. 6. The use of public drinking supplies in accordance with the subsection B. D. Consideration municipality storage operator of the department may consider the comments submitted under section 3212(1) relating to the comments of the municipality with the storage operator to make a determination of the well with the permanent notwithstanding any other law. No municipality storage operator shall have the right to the appeal with any other form of the review of the department decision. D1. Additional protective measure for the department may establish additional protective measures of the storage of the hazard chemical with the material with intended for it to be used that have been used on an unconventional well drilling site within 750 of the solid blue line stream of the spring body with the body with the water identified most current with the 7.5-minute topographical quadrangle map of the United States Geological Survey. Regulation criteria. The Environmental Quality Board shall develop the regulation criteria. 1. For the department to utilize with the condition of the well permit of the base for the impact of the public resource identified within subsection C with the ensuring of the optimal development of the oil and gas resource with the restriction and property of the right for the oil and gas owners. 2. For appeal environmental hearing board over the permit containing with the condition with the imposed with the department of the regulation shall provide with the department that has been burden proof with the condition necessary to protect against probable harmful impact of the public resources. At floodplains, no well site prepared with a well drill with any floodplain well suit will have a pit with impounded or impoundment containing the drill cuttings with low backwater producing water hazard material chemical wastes within the floodplain tank containing hazard material chemicals condensate waste flow back will produce water within the floodway to a well shall not be eligible for floodplain with restricted waiver of the well site without have to tank condensate flow back produce water within the flood fringe unless all of the tanks adequate flood proof in accordance with the National Flood Insurance Program standard with accepted with the engineering practices. 3. The department may waive restrict the submission of the plan with identified with additional measure of the facility practice for the employee with during the well site construction, drilling and operation that waiver if the grant shall impose the permanent condition necessary to protect the water over the Commonwealth. For best practice for the determined with the Department with the ensure for the protection of the world with the Commonwealth must be utilized with the storage for the handling of water, chemical fuels, and hazardous materials, solid waste, or well site on a well site located with a floodplain. The Department may require the well site with the operator submit a plan with the storage and handling of the materials for approval. The Department may impose the condition of the pen permits that include with the permanent conditions as necessary to protect the environmental, public health, and safety. 5. Unless otherwise specified, the Department with the boundary of the floodplain shall be indicated on the map of the flood insurance society that provide with the Federal Emergency Management Agency in an area with the Federal Emergency Management Agency map. The studies have defined with the boundary of a 100-year frequency floodplain. Absent evidence of the contrary, with the floodplain should extend with any of the perennial stream up to 100 feet horizontal with the top of the bank with a perennial stream. 2. For any intermittent stream up to 50 feet horizontal with the top of the bank of the intermittent stream. G. Applicability. This section shall not apply with a well proposed with a drill with existing well site with at least one with a well permit has been issued prior to the effective date of the section. Nothing in this section shall alter, abridge, terms of the contract with the mortgage of the other agreement entered into the prior effective date of this section. Special provisions and cross-reference. 3216 Well Site Restoration General Rule. Each oil in the gas well owner operative well with the restore of the land surface of the well are distributed in the sitting, drilling, completing, and producing the well. Plan B. Plan. During and after the earth movement is sold, distributing the activities include, but are not limited to, activities relating to the sitting, the drilling, completing, the producing, plugging the well, and erosion and sedimentation control measure that shall be implemented in accordance with the erosion sedimentation control plan prepared in accordance with the Act of June 22nd, 1937, Public Law 1987, number 394, known as the Clean Streams Law. Pits drilling and supplying equipment within 9 months of the completing the drilling of the well. The owner and the operator shall restore the well site with the remove of the all pits used to contain and produce the fluids with industrial waste with the remove of all the drills supplied with equipment not needed, and for production drilling supply with equipment not needed for the production may be stored with the well site with express with the written consent of the surface landowner is obtained. Items related to production stored within 9 months after the plugging well, only the owner and operator shall remove all plugs. Items related to production and storage. Items related to production and storage. Within 9 months of after the plug in the well, the owner and operator shall remove all production and storage facilities, supplies, and equipment of restoration well site with the Clean Stream Law. Restoration activity required with the chapter regulation promulgated under the chapter shall also comply with the applicable provision of the Clean Stream Law. Violation of the chapter failure to restore the well site with the required with the chapter regulation promulgated under the chapter constitute the violation of the chapter. The extensions. 1. Restoration period may be extended with a department with additional period of the time not to exceed 2 years for the demonstrator for the well and for the operator of that. 1. The extension will result in less for the earth disturbance of increased water reuse, the more efficient development of the resource for the site where the restoration cannot be achieved due to the adverse weather condition with the lack of essential fuel, equipment, or labor. 2. The demonstration under paragraph 1 shall do all of the following: include the site with the restoration plan for the provide with the A, the timely removal of the fill with all the pits for the contain with the produce of the fluids and industrial waste. B. Remove all of the drilling and supply with equipment needed for the production. C. For the stabilization of the well site shall include the interim post-construction storm water, the management of the best management practice. D. The other measure for the employee with the minimize with accelerated erosion and sedimentation according to the Clean Streams Law. 2. They provide with the return of the portion of the site of the non-occupied with the production facility and the equipment approximate original counters to make them capable of supporting use with existing prior to the drilling of the well. And 3. The Department any with the addition extension under the subsection necessary in accordance with the Clean Streams Law. H. The definition used within the section of the term well site means any area that occupied with all the equipment and facilities necessary for the incidental of the drilling, production, and plugging of the well. 3217 with the protection of fresh water and fresh groundwater. In case the requirements of the general rule of the aiding with the protection of the fresh groundwater well, operators shall control for the disputes, brines producing the drilling with the alteration operation of the oil of the gas well in the manner with a consistent act of the July 22nd, 1937, Public Law 1987, number 394, with the known of the Clean Stream Law with the and the regulation promulgated with the Clean Stream Law. Casing for the preventing of mitigation for the gas fluids and the source for the fresh for the groundwater, popping the pollution with the diminution of the fresh groundwater. Stringler strings or casings shall be run with a permanent cement within each of the wells permitted through the freshwater bearing status and the depth of the manner prescribed by the regulation of the department. C. The procedure of well coal Procedure when coal has been removed of the wells of the drill with the location of the core has been removed of the one of the more coal seams. Wells should be drilled with the cave to prevent the integration of the gas and fluid with the seam with which the coal has been removed of the manner prescribed per regulation of the department. The department of the coal operative with the owner of the leaser shall be given at least 72 hours of the notice prior to the commencement of the work protecting the mine. D. Procedure when the coal has been removed. If the well has not been removed, if the well is drilled located in the coal seam, it has not been removed, the well shall be drilled with a depth of the size of the sufficient to permit placement of casing packers in events of the on the holes of the point there and prescribed with the regulation exclude gas fluids from coal seam except for the gas fluids of the natural seam itself will enable the monitoring and integrity of the production casing. 3218. Protection of the water supply general rule. In addition with the requirement of the subsection C1 of the well operator effect of the public of the private well supply pollution of the diminution of the shelter show with the replay with the affected supply with the alternate source of the water is adequate with the quantity with the quality of the purpose served by supply with the department shall ensure the quality of the restored replay with water supply meets with the standard that established under section Act under the Act of May 1st, 1984, Public Law 206, number 43, of the Pennsylvania Safe Drinking Water Act, are comparable to qualify with the water supply before the effective of the operator of the water supply exceeds the standard of the Environmental Quality Board shall promulgate with the regulation necessary to meet the requirements of the subsection NB. Pollution of the diminution water supply with the landowner water purveyor with the surveying pollution with the diminution with the water supply with the result of the drilling alteration of the operation with the oil and the gas well shall be notified by the Department of Qualification. The investigation conducted within 10 days of the notification the department shall investigate with the claim of determination within 45 days following the notification of the department find whether the pollution of the diminution was caused by the drilling alteration operation activities if any of the presumes well operator responsible for the pollution over the subsection C of the department shall issue the order of the well with the operative necessary for the ensure the complying with the subsection A. Include orderings requiring temporary replacement of the water of the supply shall be determined in the pollution diminution may be limited duration. B1 reserve. B2 telephone number. The department shall with a single statewide toll-free telephone number that the person may be either the report of the case of the water contamination, which may be the associated with the development of oil and gas resource of the statewide telephone free number shall be provided in the conspicuous name of the notification required on subsection 3211B relating to well permit on the Department of the Internet website. B3 web response. The department shall develop the appropriate administrative response with the calls received in the statewide toll-free telephone number of the water contamination. B4 the website of the department shall publish on its internet website list the confirmed case of the subterranean water supply contamination for the result of the hydraulic fracturing. B5. Facility operating qualification. The Department of the ownership of the facility will seek with the National Pollution of the Discharge Elimination System permit proposed for the treating, discharging, wasting water originating with the oil and gas activities into the water with the Commonwealth they operated with the component qualified individuals. B.C. Presumption. Less rebutted with the defense established within subsection D, whether it shall be presumed the well operative responsible for the pollution of the water supply, except for the set forth in the paragraph 2. 1. The water supply within 1,000 feet of the oil, the gas wheels, water well. 2. The pollution occurred within 6 months after the completion of the drilling, alteration of the oil and the gas well. 2. In the case of the unconventional well, 1. The water supply within 2,500 feet of the unconventional vertical well bore. 2. The pollution has occurred within 12 months of the later of the completing of the drilling and stimulation or alteration of the unconventional well. C1 requirement. If the affected water supply within the rebuttal of the presumption is provided with some section C, with the rebuttal of the presumption applied with the operator shall provide with a temporary water supply with the water used or without readily available the alternative source of water. Temporary water supply provided with the subsection shall be adequate in quantity with the quality purpose of the seam served by the supply. D. The defenses. To rebut presumption of the establishment of the subsection C of the well operator must affirmatively prove any of the following, except for the set forth in paragraph 2 that the pollution existed prior to the drilling alteration activity determined with the pre-drilling pre-alteration survey. 2. The landowner of the water purveyor refused to allow the operator to access with the conduct pre-drilling pre-alteration survey. 3. The water supply not within 1,000 feet of the well. 4. The pollution occurred with more than 6 months after the completion drilling of the alteration activities. 5. The pollution occurred with the result of the cut of the other drilling alteration activity. 2. In the case of the unconventional well, 1. The pollution existed prior to the drilling stimulation alteration activity determined by the pre-drilling and the pre-alteration survey. 2. The landowner and water provider refused to allow the operator access with the conduct pre-drilling pre-alteration survey. 3. The water supply is not within 2,500 feet of the unconventional vertical well bore. 4. The pollution occurred more than 12 months after completing drilling and alteration activities. And 5. The pollution occurred with the result of the cut of the other drilling and alteration activities. E. Independent certified laboratory operator electing 2. Preserve the defense of the under subsection D and 1 and 2 shall retain with the independent certified laboratory to conduct with the pre-drilling, pre-alteration survey with water supply with a copy of the survey result shall be submitted with the department name of the landowner water purveyor in the manner prescribed with the department. E1. Notice. An operator on a conventional well must provide with the written of the landowner water purveyor with the include with the presumption established running for subsection C with the may be avoided with the line owner of the water purveyor refused to allow the operator to excessive conduct of pre-drilling and pre-alteration survey proof of the written over the landowner with the water purveyor should provide with the department for operator to retain the protection under subsection D2 with the proof of the written notice shall be presumed to provide with in accordance with the subsection 3212A relating to the permit objection of the other remedies preserve nothing in the subsection. Section shall be to prevent landowner and water purveyor claiming pollution or diminution of water supply seeking other remedy in law equity. 3218.1. Notification public drinking water service upon receipt of the notification spelled with the department shall after investigation of the incident notifying the public drinking water facility that could be the effect of the event. The event is described with the notification will contain a brief description of the event and expected the impact on the water. 38.2. Contamination of unconventional well site. Unconventional well sites shall be designed with the construction to prevent spill of the ground surface of the spill of the well site with the contaminant practice with the shall be all of the following be instituted with the well site with the drilling with the both drilling hydraulic fracture operation. 2. Be sufficient impervious and able to contain the spilled material with the waste until it can be removed or treated. 3. Be compatible with the waste material with the waste store with the U within the contamination. 4. Additional practice with the propagate with the Regulation Environmental Quality Board. B. The plan with the application shall submit a plan with the department to describe the contaminant prescribed practice with the utilize with the air with the well site with which contaminant sites will be employed. Plan shall be included with a description of the equipment with the kept on site with the during the drilling hydraulic fracturing operation to prevent spill with the leaving of the time of the well site. Material stored. Contaminant systems shall be used wherever the following are stored. Drilling mud, hydraulic oil, diesel fuel, drilling mud, additives, hydraulic fracturing additives, hydraulic fracturing flowback. Capacity. Areas of additives and chemicals in the oil of the fuel are stored where there must be sufficient contamination capacity to hold the volume. The largest container stored in the area plus 10% of the allowable precipitation life of the container is equivalent to the individual secondary containment. And the definition used within the section of the term well site means the area that occupied with all the equipment and facility necessary to the incident with the drilling, production, and plugging of the well. 32.18.3 with the transportation records regarding water, wastewater, fluids. Requirements of well operator over the conventional well with the transport wastewater fluid to do all of the following with the maintain the records of 5 years in accordance with the regulation of subsection B and with the form and approved department the amount of the destination of the fluid transported. 2. The make of the record with the paragraph 1 available. 2. The department upon request. B. The record. Keep the record. Keep the requirements shall be determined. The department shall include with the following with the number of the gallons of the wastewater fluids. Proceed with the drilling stipulation for the alteration of the well. 2. The upon completion of the well with the name of the person from the company transport of the wastewater fluid. 2. For the disposal of the site with the location other than the well site. Each of the location wastewater fluid shall be disposed of the transport of the volumes disposed at location other than the well site. 4. The method of the disposal. 2032.18.4 of the corrosion of the control requirements. Pipelines. All buried metallic pipelines shall be installed with the plate for the operation according to the Title 49 CFR Part 192 Subchapter Subpart I relating to the requirement of the corrosion control of the tanks of the permanent above ground underground tanks must comply applicable corrosion control requirements in the Department of Storage Tank Regulation of the structure for the other buried metallic structures including water well casing. The Environmental Quality Board shall promulgate regulations setting forth the methods of determining the need for the corrosion protection installing with the necessary corrosion protection. D. The procedure for the corrosion control procedure under subsection A and B must be carried out under the direction of the person qualified in corrosion method. E. Complying with the operator new with the replace for the relocated otherwise changed pipeline may be in compliance with the applicable requirements in section of the day when the pipeline goes into the surface. 32.18.5 Gather lines. Requirement of the operator with the gathering line with the comply with the section 251I1 and the act of the December 10th of the 1974 Public Law 852 number 287 which should refer to the underground utility line protection line law. B. The definition used within the section of the term gathering line means of the pipelines transport natural gas for the production facility with a transmission line. 32.19 Use of safety devices. Any person engaged with the drilling oil gas well shall be equipped with the casing sufficient strength with the other safety devices are necessary in manner prescribed with the regulation of the department shall use every effort and endeavor to effectively prevent blowouts, explosions, and fire. 32.19.1 Well Control Emergency Response. Contract with the department may enter with the contract well control specialist in order to provide adequate emergency response service in an event with the well control of the emergency with the department that may be available upon request of the county with information relating to the contract with well control Special facility immunity with except for the set forth in subsection C. Well control specialist within the department to enter for the contract with the owner subsection A shall be immune for the civil liability action for taking in the good faith to carry out for the contractual obligation. C. Non-applicability subsection B shall not apply with the damage arising from any of the following: a breach for the contract under subsection A and an intentional or gross negligence. 3220 plugging the requirement of the general rule. Upon abandoning the well for the owner of the operator shall plug with the main with the described with the regulation for the department to stop with the vertical flow of the fluid of the gas within the well bore and left the department have granted inactive the staff of the well, or as approved of the department has sent Orphan Wells the determined the prior owner of the operator receive the economic benefit of the or economic benefit derived with land over the other rural interest after April 18, 1979, with the Orphan Well with the unregistered well with the owner and operator shall be responsible for plugging the well and keeping the gas well with the penetration of the work coal with the seam of the well with the drill with the prior with the January 30th, 1956, or which was permitted after the day of the non-plugged in accordance with this chapter if the owner and the operator with the coal operator or the agent propose the plug of the well to allow for the mining through into the gas well shall be clean with a depth of at least 200 feet above the coal seam through the mining with a proposed unless the impractical point of 200 feet above the deepest mineable coal seam. Gas wells shall be plugged with the depth in accordance with Section 13 with the Act of December 18, 1984, Public Law 1069, number 214, under the Coal and Gas Resource Coordination Act of the Regulation of the Department. B. Areas underlying the coal by coal priority to plugging in the abandonment of the well with the underlaying with the workable coal seam of the well operator shall notify the department of the coal operator leaser with the owner submit the plat on a form of the furniture for the department showing the location of the well fixing the day of the time of the plugging with the commencement of the which shall not be less than 3 working days, no more than 30 days after the notice of the receipt of the department of the representative of the person that notified of the person then plugging. No the right to presume to be waived with the department of the coal operator leaser and the owner of the waiver of the coal operator leaser of the owner shall be writing and a copy shall be attached to the notice of the abandonment filed with the department under the section, whether or not representative of the tenant of the well operator to fully comply with the section of the well operator proceed with the time fixed with the plug with the man prescribed by the regulation of the department when plugging has been completed. Certificate shall be prepared with and signed with the form of the furnished by the department by 2 experienced with the qualified people who would participate in working set forth in time and the manner with which the well was plugged. 1 copy of the certificate shall be mailed with each for the coal operator leaser of the owner of the whom the notice was given in certified mail, and another shall be mailed to the department. Are abandoned well with the prior to abandonment of the well with except for the uncompleted borehole of the plug with immediately upon the suspension from the drilling within the air with the underlaying with the work coal with the seam of the well with the operator shall notify the department the intention of the plug with the abandoned well with the submitted with the plat on form to be furnished for the department showing the location of the well with the fixing of the day and the time of the plugging well commence when it shall not be less than 3 working days or more than 30 days after the notice of the receiver to a permanent of the department of representative to be resident at the plugging with a notice of the rating of the period that may be verbally waived by the department of the non-coal of the area where more than one well has been drilled with has been the same development project with the well with the are not to be plugged with the department shall be given in 3 working days with the notice prior with the plugging of the first well of the project subject to the waiver of the notice described in section B with the plugging of the subsequent well with no additional notice shall be restored with the, required for the plugging of the project with a continuous if the plugging of the subsequent well with the delay with the aim of the reason of the notice shall be given in the department of continuation of the project with not representing the tenant of the well operator shall fully comply with this section. Well operator may be proceeded with the time fixed for the plug with the well and the manner with the prescribed regulation of the department. The plugging has been completed. Certificate shall be prepared on a form of the furnish of the department to experiment with the qualified people who are participating in work setting for the time and the manner with which well with plug the copy of the certificate shall be mailed to the department. R.D. wells abandoned with the completing of the drilling. After the well will be abandoned immediately after the completing of the drilling of the well operator shall be given at least 24-hour notice for the telephone confirmed with a certified mail with the department of the coal operator with the lease room and the owner of the fixing of the day with the time of the plugging will come in for the notice of the rights of the president may be waived with the department of the coal with the operator lease room and the owner if any with the whether or not with the representative of the department of the coal operator lease room and the owner if any attempt of the well operator has been fully complied with the requirements of the section with the well operator with the proceed with the time of the fix of the plug of the well with the man with the provide with the regulation of the department well operator shall perform the certificate of the plugging of the mail copies of the same as provided in subsection D. Orphan well with the orphan is abandoned without plugging with the well of the orphan and might not be registered in section 32:13 relating to well registration and delegation. The department may enter the well site with the plug of the well and the cell with the equipment casing pipe of the site with which may be have used the production well in order to recover the cost of the plug. The department shall make the effort to determine the ownership of the well within is its operation that has not been registered with the provider with the written notice to the owner with the preventing action of a subsection of the department that cannot be determined ownership within 30 days. If the seats under the section cost of plugging shy of the priority of over all alien lines, casing and piping shall be free with a clear leave of the line to the extent with the cost of the plugging with the exceed of the shell splice. The amount of the obtained with the casing of the pipe salvage for the site and inadequately to pay with the plugging with the owner of the operator being with the unregistered well should be liable with additional costs. Definition: for the purposes of this section, the term owner does not include the owner and the possessor of the surface wheel of the property with the abandoned well located who did not participate and incur with the cost of the not has no right to control over the drilling, extraction, and operation of the abandoned well. 3221. Alternative method. Well operator may request for the permission of the use of the method of the material with the other than request for this chapter applicable regulation casing, plugging of the equipment well with the end of the application for the department over the described with the proof of the alternative respond with the full detail indicate with the manner with which for the accomplishment of the goal of the chapter. Note that the following the application shall be given the well operator a certified mail effective with the goal operators who have within 15 days of the notice of the following objection. Proposed alternative method of material within that time and the objection of the file with the brief of the department shall determine whether to allow the proposed alternative method or material. 3222. Well reporting requirements general. Except for the provided subsection A1, each of the well operators shall file with the department now in a form of the provide with the department annual report specifying the amount of the production of the most well specifically basis available along the status of each well, except for the subsequent year with the change of the staff of the report with the Commonwealth may utilize with the reported information enforcement proceedings making designation termination under section 1927 and A with this act of April 9, 1929, public law 177, number 179, known as the administrative code of 1929 with the aggregated form of statistical purpose of the A1 unconventional wells repealed. B. Collection of the data. Well operators shall maintain a record of each of the wells drilled with an altered record containing information required by the department shall be filed within 30 days of the drilling of the well. 3. Within 30 days of the completion of the well is capable of the production. Completion of the report containing the additional requirement of information shall be filed and shall be maintained by the department. 4. Upon the request of the department, the well operator shall within 90 days of the completion of the recompletion of the drilling submit a copy of the electrical, radioactivity, other standard industrial logs which have been run. Upon request of the department with 1 year of the well operator shall file with a copy of the drill with the stem test with the charge of the formation, water analysis, porosity, permeability of the fluid saturation, measurement of the core of the analysis of the lithiological fog, a sample of the description or similar data is complied. No information shall be required unless the well operator is complied with the ordinary course of the business and the interpretation data on the paragraph that is not required to be filed. B1. Report content. For the completion of the report shall be contained with the operator's stimulation of the record, but the simulation record shall include all of the following. 1. Restricted lift of the chemical add with the stipulation fluid, include with the acid biocides, breaker, brine, corrosion, inhibitor, corrosion, cross-linker, demulsifier of the friction, reduce the gel, iron control, oxygen, scavenger, pH, adjusting agent, proponent, scale inhibitor, and surfactant. 2. The trade name of the vendor for the brief descriptive of the intended use, the function of the chemical added with the stipulant fluid. 3. List for the chemicals initially added with the stipulant fluid by name of the chemical abstract with the surface number. 4. The maximum concentration of the percent of the mass of each of the chemical intentionally added to the stipulation fluid. 5. The total volume of the base fluid. 6. List of the water source of the base used under the proof of the water management plan with the volume of the water used. 7. The pump rate for the pressure used in the water. 8. The total volume of the recycled water used. 2. The well recorded shall identify all of the following, whether the methane was encountered other than the target information, and the county of the origination, manufacture of the tubular steel product with the use of the construction of the well. B2. The trade secret of the confidential priority information. When an operator submits the stipulation record of under subsection B1 and the operator designates specifically proportion for the stipulation record containing the trade secret of the confidential proprietary information, the department shall provide the disclosure of the designated trade secret with the confidential priority information consistent with the permitted with the act of the February 14, 2008, Public Law 6, number 3, with the notice of the right to know act. The right to know law of the other applicable state laws. C. Drill cutting in the core sampling upon notification by the department to provide the commencement of the drilling of the well, where the operator should comply with the additional data with the specified by the department, including with the representative of the drilling, the cutting, and sample the core, take with the other geological information that the operator with reasonability can comply with the interpretation of the data that is not required to be filled. D. The retaining and defiling of the data required under subsection B5 with the drilling coding with the requirement in subsection C shall be retained with the well operator filed with the department no more than 3 years after the completion of the well, with upon request of the department to extend with the deadline over the 5 years of the day of the completion of the well for the department shall be entitled to utilize with the information collection under the subsection enforcement proceed to make of the designation of the determination under section 1927A Administrative Code Law of 1929 aggregated statistical purposes. 3222.1 hydraulic fracturing chemical disclosure requirements. Applicability section applied with the hydraulic fracturing unconventional wells performed on or after the effective date of the section required disclosure. Except the provider and source type section D with the service to provide with the performance of any of the prior hydraulic fracturing with the treatment of the vendor with the provider with the hydraulic fracturing added with directly to the owner. Directly to the operator, the hydraulic fracturing treatment of the for the operator with the information required with the paragraph 2 no later than 60 days after the commencement of the hydraulic fracture. 2. The within 60 days of the conclusion of the hydraulic fracture, the operator well should complete with the chemical disclosure registry with the end form and post for the forms of chemical disclosure registry in accordance with the regulation propagated with this chapter format that does not link with the chemical with respect to the hydraulic fracture activity additive. 3. An vendor of the service that provide with the operator claim with the specific identity of the chemical with the concentration, chemical, or both the trade secret with confidential proprietary information for the operator well with the must indicate the chemical disclosure registry form of the vendor. Service provider operator shall submit with a signed written statement of the record contaminating of the trade secret with the confidential proprietary information of the chemical with the trade secret with the operator shall include in the chemical register of the disclosure chemical family similar to the description associated with the chemical at the time of the claiming with any of the following of the entitled protection under paragraph 3 of the vendor with the service provided with the operator shall file with a signed written statement of the record containing the trade secret with the confidential proprietary information hydraulic fracturing activity chemical concentration combination subparagraph A subparagraph 1 and 2 and 3. 5. Unless information is entitled with the protection of the trade secret confidential proprietary information submitted to the department as posted with the chemical disclosure registry shall be a public record. 6. By January 1st, 2013, the Department shall determine whether the Chemical Disclosure Registry allowed the Department of the Public to research the source of the Pennsylvania Chemical Disclosure Information Geographical Area Chemical Ingredient Chemical Abstract with the number of the time of the period of the operated with the Department determines if that there is no reasonable assurance that the registry will allow the research for the geographical area of the chemical, the ingredient with the chemical, the abstract, with the number of the time of the period operator at the day of the department shall be investigate feasibility, make the information of the paragraph 2 available to the department the internet website in a manner which will allow the department and the public to search and sort the information geographical area with the chemical ingredient, chemical abstract, with the number of the time of the period with the operator should report with the General Assembly, which and the additional resource that may be needed to implement the searches and sorting. 7. The vendor shall not be responsible for inaccuracy information provided with the vendor by the third-party manufacturer. 8. The service provider shall not be reasonable for any of the inaccuracy of the information that is provided with the service provider with the vendor. 9. The operator shall not be responsible for any inaccuracy information provided with the operator by the vendor and service provider with the manufacturer. 10. The vendor service the company with the operator shall identify the specific identity of the amount of any of the chemical claim with the trade secret with the confidential priority information, health prevention request information in writing the health prevention execute the confidential agreement and provides a written statement of the need of the information indicating all of the following of the information for the need for the purpose of the diagnosis for the treatment of the individual being diagnosed for the treating but I have then exposed with the hazard chemical for the challenge of information will success to the diagnosis and treatment of the individual. If the health professional determines if the medical emergency exists, if the specific identity of the amount of the chemicals claimed with the trade secret for the confidential priority information necessary for the emergency treatment, the vendor for the service provided for the operator shall immediately disclose the information for the health professional upon with the vertical acknowledgement by the health professional upon with the information may not be used for purpose other than health needs assertive that the health professional shall be information confidential vendor so far provided for the operator may with the health professional shall provide with the written request of the written statement of the need for the confidential recruitment of the health professional as soon as circumstances permit with the conformance of the regulation promulgated under this chapter. C. Disclosure of the not required. Notwithstanding any other provision of the chapter, the vendor service provided for the operator shall not be required to do any of the following. Disclose if the chemical is not disclosed within you for the manufacturer vendor service provided. Disclose if the chemical was not intentionally added to the stipulation fluid. And 3. Disclose chemical that occur with the incur incidentally any of the otherwise unintentionally present with the trace amounts may be the incidental result of the chemical reaction with the chemical process may be the consequence of the semi-natural occurring with the material that may come with the stimulation fluid. D. Trade secrets and confidential priority information. Notwithstanding any of the provision of the chapter, the vendor service company with the operator with shall not be required with the disclosure trade secret with the confidential priority information to chemical disclosure registry. 2. The following shall apply but the 1. If the specific identity of the chemical with the concentration of the chemical or both the specific identity of the concentration of the chemical claim with the trade secret with the confidential priority information for the vendor service provided with the operator withhold with the specific identity of the concentration or both the specific identity of the concentration of the chemical for the information provided with the chemical disclosure registry. 2. Notwithstanding with the paragraphs provided with the following with obtaining the vendor service provided operator information that may be needed to respond with the spill of relief. The Department of Public Health official with the emergency manager for the responder to spill of relief of the complaint with the person who have made directly, adversely, effectively agreed Aggrieved by the spell of the release 3. Upon receipt, written state with the need of the information, subparagraph 2, with the information was with the club, with the vendor, with the provider, with the operator requesting official, with the need of the authorized, and then subparagraph 2, with the shall not be public record. Alright, E. Disclosure preventive. The Department shall prevent the disclosure of trade secret, the confidential priority information sections pursuant with the requirement of the right to know other applicable state laws. 5. F. Well reporting. Or notwithstanding any other provision of the law, but nothing in the section shall be construed with the reduced to modify the disclosure requirements of the conventional well operators contained in Title 5, Pennsylvania Code, Chapter 78, Subchapter E, relating to well reporting. Alright, 3223, notification effect of the well train for the owner of the operator well shall notify the Department of the Breading of the 30 day with the form directive of the regulation and sale of the sum of the transfer of the conveyance for the change for the buyer to well, the owner of the well. Transfer shall not receive the well with the owner of the operator with the obligation for the crew with the chapter nor shall the relief of the owner of the operator with the obligation of the plug of the well until the receive requirements of section 3225 relating with the bonding had been met with the time of the transferring owner of the operator shall relieve the obligation under this chapter including the obligation of the plug well. And we're going to cut the tape there because we're getting a little bit long here. I don't know when the next